Before we begin, I just want to show you this new handout that I have for this tutorial. The last one went quite well. A lot of people really said they benefited a lot from the exercises. And I think I really kind of prefer this kind of way of doing things where there's this video, but you can actually participate and actually practice the things that are being spoken about in the video, rather than just kind of like idly watching a video and then just walking away. So I really recommend you trying out these exercises. You can find the download link to the handout in the description below. It costs very little and it helps support me a little bit. So give this stuff a try. I will actually be doing a critique this time of this. So you can find my email in the in the info page on my YouTube channel. You can find it on the handout as well. And it would be great if you guys send me what you did. Send me some of your work. And I will be going through, at some point, I will be going through them. Kind of spotting the kind of common mistakes that people make. No doubt some of these exercises are going to be a little bit difficult for some, possibly beginners. It is designed that way. I designed it that way just to get people out of their comfort zones a little bit and, get them, because that's where the learning happens, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to what you guys do. And without further ado, let's get to the video. Welcome everybody, it's Joseph, aka Zeph Draws, and today we're going to continue our little series on drawing from imagination. In the last few videos, we've spoken about form manipulation and how we can use simple kind of operations to build forms so we can build complexity from our minds. Now today I want to talk about how I go about rotating objects and how to kind of develop spatial awareness, because that is really what the crux of this really is. It's all about spatial awareness. And I want to offer two ways that I think about form rotation that are more formal, that are very rules based. But to be honest, if I'm going to be completely honest with you and tell you the truth, there is no rule, there is no special formula for how to rotate boxes or cylinders or any kind of form that you would want to rotate. There are tons of videos that can help and give kind of some sort of structure to follow, and I'm going to give you two of those soon. But ultimately, what we should be aiming to gain is spatial awareness, a sense of intuitive spatial awareness, such that we can see when we're going wrong. Right? When you put a line down and you just know that is not how the object would look from that angle. And you want to develop that spatial awareness so that you are not bound to any kind of rules or anything like that. And the way we gain this really is through observation. It's the age old advice, right? It's all about observing what you see in life, stepping around it, viewing it from many angles, and noticing the spatial relationships between different aspects of the object, right? So if you step next to a table, then I guess step behind it or below it or whatever, noticing and observing how different surfaces change, and drawing those many times actually will give you that kind of intuition. Over time, it will be difficult, but over time you will gain this kind of intuition of how objects look from different, specifically simple objects, right? When we get to complex objects, that can be a bit more difficult. But if you can draw a box from any angle and you have the intuition of drawing a box from any angle without necessarily relying on a grid or anything like that, because we can't whip out a grid every time we're going to sit down to draw. That's just not practical. So if you gain that intuition through observation in real life, that is going to be super helpful for you in the future. Now that being said, I can give you two ways in which I think about rotation. And the first one is on the screen here. When, say, I'm rotating a box, like in the example here, I always consider the fact that whenever you rotate a box, or even just a square, a 2D square, just a square, it will always touch the four corners of the box will always touch the circle. Now in a 3D space, that becomes an ellipse, right? So the top of the box, as you can see in the example, I've made sure that it's touching the ellipse, right? Now, that's not the only thing you want to follow. You also want to make sure that the lines of convergence are still touching the original horizon line. These are the kind of rules I follow when I'm thinking about how to rotate a box, or what some box might look like if I turned it a little bit. These are the kind of things I'm thinking. Here in this second example, this is a slightly different example. As you can see, I'm kind of using the ellipse, or at least the cylinder, to provide kind of scaffolding or a guide for how I'm going to rotate this cuboid looking shape, and turn it about an axis. Of course, the axis being perpendicular to the surface of that cylinder. When you get really comfortable with those two kind of methods of, rotating and thinking about rotation, it's really time to move on to slightly more complex objects, slightly more complex forms. And what you want to do, as I'm showing in the demo here, is, when you're done with cubes or whatever, you want to start trying to rotate slightly more complex forms, thinking about what they look like from different angles, and really taking that time out to get used to seeing an object kind of like in another angle in your mind's eye. And if you've seen the previous tutorial on form manipulation and how we create forms, when we combine these two skills, we have just given ourselves an endless amount of options and opportunities to draw from memory. Now, we haven't talked about reference yet. We haven't talked about how to draw a car or a face or a head or anything. But you can start to see how, if you want to right now build an interesting, scene with random looking objects, a random composition, yes, it's going to be very abstract, of course, because we haven't yet talked about or brought in any reference. But you will be able to start thinking about and creating random objects, building stuff and flipping them and turning them and creating a kind of composition, albeit very abstract. And that is essentially the beginning of drawing from imagination. Because what you've just done there is you're able to create a sort of space on the paper, and without reference to anything, right? This is coming straight from you, and you're able to build random, very unique looking objects and manipulate them as you see fit. And that's kind of what I've been stressing for the past few videos. This skill of manipulation and rotation is going to be paramount for the rest of the tutorials that we go through. So in the next video, we are going to talk about placement, object placement. You can manipulate objects, you can twist them, turn them, but can we place them on a scene? Can we create a scene and begin to create a space that feels real and feels like it's got, perspective and a realistic feeling to it, right? Can we create a space that feels like it has dimensionality? And can we fill that space up with objects, right? Kind of like a sandbox game. And that's what we're going to be working on for the next tutorial. So get familiar with this. The worksheet handout that I put in the description. Give it a try. Get comfortable doing this. I made some of the questions, the exercises a little bit difficult to stretch you a little bit, and I think that's going to be a good thing. But stay tuned for the next video. We're going to keep building on this so that we don't just stop here. We want to progress our skills so that we're able to do more interesting things. So yeah, subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.